Hello. Hi, my name is Erin Parks, and I am with Oklahoma Family Network. I am a Northeast Family Support Partner. So, Oklahoma Family Network, we are a statewide organization, and I just wanted to introduce myself so you can see my face, and then I will go into my slides. So, I'm going to present my slideshow now. So, I will turn this on, and hopefully, we are showing it now. So Oklahoma Family Network, we again,
It's
like
not on, Erin.
let's see. Want to start again? Let's see. We will do share screen. I'll try again.
There you go.
Oh, perfect. All righty. Sorry about that. Okay, so to try that again, we are a statewide organization that we bring that parent perspective to the table. So I am not a licensed counselor. I used to be a teacher, but I'm not in that role right now. And we are truly, all of us at Oklahoma Family Network, all of our staff, we actually all have children with special needs or some type of behavioral health care challenge. So with that said, we bring that parent perspective and really help you advocate and learn how to do that. So our vision, I'm not a real big reader of slides, so I will share this presentation so that way everybody has it. Our vision is just our families and children with special healthcare needs experience belonging in the community. And this is just kind of the mission. Again, as you can see, us being a statewide organization, we have staff that are in all sections of the state. And myself is in the Northeast region, so that's why you're connecting with me. At Oklahoma Family Network, we have 3 types of support. So think of it as 3 buckets. We have that information and training bucket, the emotional support bucket, and the advocacy and leadership bucket. So I'm going to go into a little bit about what type of support is in each of these buckets. So the first one at the forefront of everything is the emotional support. Again, that is bringing that parent perspective. It's talking to someone that has already been there. So a little bit about myself, I like to share is I have 3 children. My oldest is Taylor, who was fortunate enough to be in Miss Roberts' class and was a Jinx lifer. She is 20 years old and she graduated 2 years ago. And I will tell you that you are in great hands with Miss Roberts. But in saying that, with that emotional support, that is one of the things that I've been there, right? I've experienced that, especially when talking to this group. I have been in the Jinx system since she was a 3-year-old program. So I can just say, hey, I've been there. This is some of the things we tried. These are some of the things that we didn't try. That other thing is that information and training. So when you go to our website, which I'll make sure you'll have that information, it's oklahomafamilynetwork.org. One of the things that you will notice is that on our Facebook page, we have these 3, or on our website, we have these 3 buckets of support. So when you click on the emotional support, you're able to see how you can connect with another family, or if you want to refer a family that you think might need our support. But under that information and training, you will see up at the top a list of all of our trainings. And I'm going to go through those here in just a minute. Then the other bucket is that advocacy and leadership. So that's where we can teach you how, and your child, how to be a self-advocate. We can get them involved in some programs that Oklahoma offers to really learn about how to be able to express themselves and be a leader. So that family-to-family emotional support, again, you're talking about how we are that listening ear. So even if you have a child in the hospital or they're going through a really tough time, or you have a question about an IEP, those are the things that we match families with similar life experiences. So if you are, again, obviously you're in Jinx, so we would try to get you connected with someone that is in the Jinx area. But a lot of times we have families that live out in rural areas. So I'm not going to match someone that lives in a rural area with someone that lives in Jinx America, right? Because that wouldn't be a good match. So, or if you have parents that are, or let's say you have a single family. I'm not going to match them with someone that has a really good support partner or family in town, because those are different experiences. And so we really try to match them with like-minded families. So this is why we are so big at Oklahoma Family Network about having a support parent. This is just something that I really feel, it's like my mentor was an invaluable resource as we were learning to parent a child with special needs, from dealing with doctors and paperwork to the exhaustive schedule of therapy and medical appointments. The fear of neglecting our other daughter and the stress of all of this places on our marriage. I needed a friend who had walked the path before me. She was truly a gift from God. One of the things that one of the parents told me that it really resonates with me is she said, OFN was the lifeline that I never thought I would need. And if you really think about that, that's so true, right? We all didn't anticipate this path that we've been walking through. So again, we try to be that lifeline that you didn't know that you needed. What we do when we support parents is that we provide hope. We observe, we listen, we ask questions, and we provide that continuing support in a non-judgmental way. If you feel that you would be a support parent, please know that if you feel like you would like to use some of those experiences that you have, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd love to, and we have a support training that we do, a support parent training, and we're always looking for new parents to get involved and to help us grow. So if that's something that really interests you and you feel like you have some knowledge that you would like to share with others, please, feel free, we'll get you connected. One of the things I'm going to tell you, and I know I'm probably preaching to the choir, but as I support families, I myself are learning. I learn from every family that I support. I also continually learn from the information that if I'm trying to find resources for a family, I'm also keeping my skills up to date, right? So by being a leader and being a mentor, you're actually learning yourself as well. This information and training. So when I talk to you about that information and training bucket, those connections we provide resources, whether that be financial resources. We talk about, we connect families to different Facebook groups that I'll talk about in a little bit. We have crucial conversations about transitioning, genetic testing. We have book parties. So and I know it says infant and early childhood mental health, but we do it for transition. If there's a group of people that you want to get together and we get a book that we'd all like to read about and share, we at Oklahoma Family Network, we help facilitate some of those book groups and all of that information and training. So these are some of the trainings available, and they are all on our website underneath that information and training, that resources tab of that buckets of support I was telling you about. So our Care Notebook training. This is such a valuable resource, and I will be offering one November 30th. It's over Zoom. If you would like to participate, that is one of the things that I will send you all the documents and a folder and all the supplies needed, and then you will learn how to utilize that. I want to tell you, it seems like it's very common sense. So a Care Notebook can be common sense, but when you're in the middle of a challenging or a crisis, sometimes we leave all of our papers, we leave all of them scattered. So what we do in this training is we teach you how to organize all of your medical and educational papers, evaluations, IEPs. We talk about how to organize those in a way that you can then use them to either at this stage, at transition stages that all of you guys are at, you're going to use that to help employ them for a job. You're going to use that maybe in a post-secondary setting. So that is so helpful. The Transition Care Notebook is exactly like our Care Notebook, except we add some of those documents in there to help with the employment status. So in that Transition Notebook, we have things about budgeting. We have about taking care of ourselves. So that's a really important Care Notebook training that we could do. We also do a Telling Your Story. This one is probably one of my favorites to talk to this group because of the transition areas. This is the part that I will tell you that I want you to be able to learn how to tell your story, but I also want your child to be able to advocate for themselves. It is so, so important for them to learn those skills so that they can walk into an IEP meeting and be a part of that team. And as you're working for the next steps after graduation, we want them to have those skills. Maybe they want to go to the Capitol and tell their story. Maybe whenever they're interviewing for a job, they want to tell their story. That is what that training is about. The supportive parent training is the one I touched on a few slides ago. And that is if you are interested in helping other families kind of walk that path, we would love to train you as being a support parent. The community resource training, I kind of laugh. I actually am combining the training, the OFN overview training we do with the community resource. So you're going to get a lot of those slides tonight from that community resource training. I will tell you that what support parents do, we provide that hope, observe, listen, and ask those questions. So this advocacy and leadership, that is that other bucket of support. And this is where I was talking to you about how we would love to teach that telling your story. And this is where that comes into play. And we teach them how to be good advocates and learning about themselves. We also have a joining forces conference every March that families, providers, teachers, everybody is invited to. And I'll make sure I get that information to Ms. Roberts so she can pass it on to you when that is happening in March. Okay, so this is where I kind of transition into our community resource training because I feel like it's so, so important for you guys to get this information of some of the resources that are very valuable in our area. So when we start talking about community and before we really get into the resources part of it, this is how when we always do these presentations, we talk about partnering for a good life. So if this is such a good way, begins with an individual having a supportive network of family, friends, and others to assure their child has what they need, when they need it, and the way they need it. And that is true help. So that's what we're talking about tonight. We want to be able to help families what they need, when they need it, and the way that they need it. So what is a good life? This is something I strongly encourage you to do with your son or daughter and do it as a family. I also think that this is something that before you introduce this to your child, do it yourselves. Do it with your own. Do it with your partner. What is a good life? I will tell you, sometimes that this can be very overwhelming. So you could always start it with what is a good day for you, right? What does a good day look like in the life of Erin Parks? What is a good hour? If you think that maybe even what a good day is too broad for your child, what is a good hour? What is a good hour? What does lunch look like? What is getting up in the morning look like? So this is just kind of a guideline, but we really want to know what they want and what they don't want. I will tell you that a lot of times it's easier to start with the what I don't want, right? We all know what we don't want usually. It's that, what do I want? What exactly do I want? That's the part that's a little bit harder. So it's okay to start with the what I don't want. So one thing you can do is I will tell you the reason why this is so important. And you've probably been told this, but I do a lot of, I sit on a lot of councils and a lot of boards for transitions. And one of the things so many parents say to me is, I thought my child wanted to go to college. I thought my child wanted to get a job. Maybe that's not what your child actually wanted. Sometimes I know as parents of children with special needs, we think we know what they want and we think we know what's good for them, but have we really stopped to ask them what they want? Because I will tell you, for a long time, I was like, you know what? My daughter, she's going to work she'd always liked children. So she loved, kind of helping at church and helping with her nieces and nephews. And I'd say, what do you want to do? And she'd say, be with kids, right? Well, so I always put on some of her transition goals growing up was, oh, she might work at a childcare center. We might work at a daycare. The more and more I got into it and we really had these conversations, I realized that she just liked to play with them, but she didn't want to work with them. She just wanted to kind of hang out with them for a while. But what she wanted, and she still remembers working at Reesers in the Jinx when she was in Jinx, and she worked at Reesers and she loved organizing all the bags. It's called facing, which she taught me about. But like at Reesers, they get all of the bags of chips and they line them up together. And whenever we would go into Reesers, I would laugh because, sometimes you get in a hurry. And so you have 3 things and you decide you don't want one. So I'd put one down. And sure enough, she'd get so mad and she'd grab that chips and she'd go to the chips aisle and put it in the right spot. And I realized that I started talking about it. And that's what she wanted to do. She said she liked organizing chips. Okay, so we're going to find something that she can do that maybe doesn't necessarily have to be the chips necessarily, but she can organize things because that's what she likes to do. So when you really talk about that and have those conversations, and I strongly recommend having those conversations early. You don't want to do it after they graduate. You want to start having those conversations as early as you can. This is called our STAR chart, or integrating supports over time. And we do a training, it's called Charting the Life Course. You can all you would have to do is Google life course tools and it will pop up. This is from the Missouri Family to Family group. And what it is it's when you are talking about your vision for a good life, if you notice it says start here and it has relationship based. We want to start with relationships, right? And getting involved in our community. And then if you work around, and I like to go to the left, right? Personal strengths and assets, community-based supports, technology-based supports. But the last one, if you're going counterclockwise, if you'll notice, is eligibility-based services. That should be the last thing. And sometimes that's the first thing we look at, right? And I know we all do it. What does she qualify for? What kind of services does she get? But if you think about it, we want this to be integrated. We want this to be an integrated STAR, so as to speak. So each of those points helps to develop what the child needs to do to have a good life. So starting by thinking about what are the relationships that they have that they could help, whether it's being with their mentors, whether it's having a family friend. Those are the type of relationships we want to develop. Not because at the end, I will tell you, so many young adults, the only relationships that they end up having are maybe the HTS, which is a habilitation training specialist. It might be only them that is actually the only person besides family that they have a relationship with. So really start. I will tell you, my daughter made some really good friends in her special education classes there at Jinx. And we get together with 2 or 3 of them all the time. And you know what? It's okay if they're not actually, some of them maybe not able to verbalize that, but just getting together. And it's a great time for the parents to get together as well. So really think about, I just strongly encourage you to make sure that you keep those relationships past the high school years. This is, if you do not know about this resource, this is a fantastic resource. It's called the Guide to Community Services in Oklahoma. I am going to be going, some of the next slides actually come from some of these services. But if you go to this website, and actually all it is, it's at the the Center for Learning and Leadership. That is the website, and you can click on there and you can download this entire guide. You can also just click on the link and it'll open up to the different things that you need. But this is such a valuable resource. So again, some of this information again is inside of that leadership book that I'm talking about, but I'm going to pull out some of the ones that I felt you guys might benefit today hearing about. If you do not know about Oklahoma Able Tech, it is so helpful. Some of the things that they do is, and all you have to do is get online and Google Oklahoma Able Tech. But again, all of the links are found on our website, and they're also found at the Center for Leading and Leadership in that resource guide. But what you can do is, for example, my daughter had some severe regression and she stopped using her words. And I didn't know if a communication device was what we needed. So I certainly didn't want to go out and buy something for thousands of dollars or try to get it cleared by insurance when I didn't know if that's exactly at that time what would benefit her. So you can actually contact Able Tech and they will actually let you borrow devices. So I sat on the phone with a lady, talked to her about what my daughter's needs were. She actually sent me an iPad. I had a 6-week time that I could use it. She downloaded different programs with me. I then worked with our speech therapist and we were able to figure out if this device was something that would benefit my daughter. So that's something. They have all kinds of equipment. They actually have watches, they have iPads, they have iPods, all kinds of devices. So use that and really use them, and they can help you out a lot of ways. I know that all of you know about DRS because I know that at Jinx, they are so good about making sure that you fill out that program and that the paperwork for Department of Rehabilitation Services. And I'm going to tell you guys that they have a fabulous resource guide. You can find it at that okrehab.org. But again, I know they're at Jinx. They are so good about making sure you're connected. That is something that can take place lifelong. I will tell you, again, I kind of mentioned that my daughter had some regression. So right after high school, we weren't able to go right into that employment, but we actually are now getting connected with them at the age of 20. So it doesn't just end. If you feel like maybe your child needs a little bit more time to develop and they're not ready for those services right after graduation, you can actually use them later after you feel like they've developed a little bit more. So I'm going to briefly touch on this, and this is where I want to talk to you that if you have any questions about any of like trying to figure out the paperwork or have questions on waivered services, I would love to help you do that. We got on the, it's called the in-home support waiver from Oklahoma Disabilities Center. And we are on that program. So I've been on the waiting list, and then we are able to access those services. As you know, you've probably heard, there's like a 10 to 12 year waiting list. So what they did is they created what they call TEFRA. It's a Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act. And what they did is that allows your child, while they're on the waiting list for the services, they are able to get a Sooner Care or Medicaid card. Sooner Care and Medicaid are used interchangeably. So make sure if you if you're on the waiting list, that you do have your Sooner Care, your Medicaid card, and it's called TEFRA. All you have to do is just put in TEFRA Oklahoma, and you'll be able to find those links online, no problem. We have the Family Support Assistant Plan through Developmental Disability Services. That is something that is income-based. So again, that is where you can receive payments of $250 to $400, depending on the number of children. And again, this is something that is in lieu of other community-based services and is something under the age of 18. So once they turn 18, since a lot of you I know are in high school and you're transitioning, once they turn 18, you will go into SSI. you cannot actually get SSI until after the age of 18. So you can begin getting the documents ready. You can even call and make an appointment for after their 18th birthday, but you cannot get those until the age of 18. There's in-home support community waiver. This is the one that has the long waiting list. So I will tell you, there is actually a Facebook page. And if you just Google Oklahoma waiting list, if you have any troubles with that, I didn't want to put a ton of Facebook pages on the slides because that is where you can easily search for it, but you will have my cell phone number, my email, and I can always send you those links and make sure you find them. But if you are on the waiting list for the in-home support and community waiver, please make sure that you get on that Facebook page. I will tell you that right now, yes, there's a 10 to 12 year waiting list, but right now they are actually doing lots of surveys with families that are on these waiting lists. And what they're doing is they are starting to offer services to the families that are on that waiting list because they know that they are really struggling while they're on that list. So one of the things that you do is join that Facebook page. You'll actually also be able to, in fact, right now they're getting ready to have a retreat. And with this retreat, they're offering to families to attend. It's a free weekend retreat, and they offer respite, and they're offering childcare vouchers as well. So if you are on the waiting list, make sure you connect with me, and I'll be happy to get you that information. So one of the other things that I would like to tell you about, I'm sorry, my daughter's I'm passing her off to my husband. I apologize. Yes, sorry about that. But yes, what I'd like to do is if you tell me that we do have a Developmental Disabilities Council of Oklahoma. And one of the things that is really exciting is we have a youth leadership forum. A lot of you might not know about this, but what it is it's where juniors and seniors are able to come and spend a weekend learning how to advocate for themselves. They were staying in Chickasha. Then at one time they were staying at OU and they changed it around. But that is something, if you go to their website at Oklahoma Developmental Disabilities Council, all you'll have to do is it'll say Youth Leadership Forum, and you'll be able to get involved in that. It's such an awesome program for our youth to learn to advocate. We also have a program called Partners in Policymaking, and this is if you are interested in learning more about how to advocate. What they do is they have an application process, and it's really cool. If you haven't heard about this, what they do is it's a several month program, but they actually pay your mileage. They pay for you to stay in a hotel. They give you a per diem to do. You can do it with your spouse. And it's like a once a month for like 8 or 9 months, I think. But you can become a graduate of Partners. And it's basically just a great way to learn information. They also have a consumer involvement fund, and I'll kind of let you read a little bit more about that. That is something, again, you can find that information on their website. Many of you probably know there's the Oklahoma Autism Center that is just fabulous. They offer all kinds of information. We have the Autism Oklahoma. If you go to the autismoklahoma.org, tons of parent support groups. There's an Autism Latino group, all kinds of groups that they offer. We also have the okautism.org that they do local autism specific groups, and they also do the different walks and have conferences. So that's something you can always access as well. If you're not familiar, I'm trying to hit on a variety of disabilities. There's obviously the American Foundation for the Blind. And one of the things I wanted to make sure you know that this is something that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be completely blind. If you have some, maybe a little bit of some stigmatisms or some issues, you can contact them and they will actually give you resources that can help you, especially the Oklahoma Library for the Blind and Physically Handicapped. That is something that you can go, and they have books and all kinds of information that you can access. There, if you aren't familiar, there's the Brain Injury Education Advocacy and Support. At one time, I didn't realize there was a Brain Injury Association of Oklahoma. Again, lots of information on that at that website. If your child has cerebral palsy, you're probably familiar with, but they do one thing that they are so good about is equipment loans and financial assistance. So that's something that you could really look into. Easter Seals actually got renamed and it's called Woven Life. So if you go to wovenlifeok.org, they have adult day services, they have equipment loans, medical rehabilitation. So there are programs out there that if you feel like, you're needing help getting some equipment or something, you can always get that as well. I always like to throw in this because children's and adults with attention deficit, it's called CHAD. They also have IEP goals. And that's something that a lot of you, I know in my family, you might have a primary diagnosis, but you could have a secondary diagnosis as well. And one of those might be ADD. And so that's something that they give a lot of good resources on that page for IEP goals. There's the deaf and hard of hearing. This is something that, again, know that this is not just because you are completely deaf. This can be where if you're just needing some information on hearing aids or other equipment, they can connect you and direct you to the right services. Epilepsy Foundation. This is something I will tell you that before COVID, they were going in and they were doing a phenomenal job of teaching schools. So if your child has epilepsy, you can always contact them and you can have them send information to your school and your teachers. They will even do a presentation with the students in the classroom about what epilepsy is. And let's say if they're having, drop seizures, as they're called, the families will, the teachers and the staff will know how to accommodate your child. So that's a really good resource. The Oklahoma Parent Center. If you're not familiar with them, this is something that their website right now, I will tell you, they are doing so many trainings. And what's great is they're doing them online. So, before we had to travel across the state and we had to try to learn and, find respite or find childcare and gas and all that. But now they're offering them all online. I strongly encourage you to join their quarterly newsletter. They have a great lending library. They have a statewide conference that usually comes up in May. But again, all of this is free. I always like to say it's just stuff at your fingertips and lots of information on that website. And I actually found this out in a conference I was attending this past week, that if you go to that website, you can actually, if you are trying to write a letter, maybe about an IEP or concern you have, then they have templates on there where all you have to do is put in the information of your child and they will already have a template made that you can follow. And that is federally funded, I'd like to mention. Special Education Resolution Center. This is something that if you ever are going through some type of dispute, and again, this doesn't necessarily have to mean at the school, at like a high school, because I know you guys are all good there. You're in good hands. But maybe if it was even post-secondary, those are things that are actually good to help. The Rights Law, this is such a great resource. They do lots of IEP goals. All you have to do is go to rightslaw.com and you can see when their next training is. They're always free. They give you several books that they will go over and teach you what is the best part. It says it's in Oklahoma each year in December. That's usually what it is. They've kind of had some changes recently because of all the COVID. They're trying to make up for a year and a half. But make sure and know that that's a resource, and that is an absolute one of the best trainings I've ever taken. I always like to include this ARC of Oklahoma one. They do family support across the lifespan. So if you go to their website, you will see all the different activities. One of the reasons why I really like to put this on here is because they have support groups as well. They also, if your child has autism, they have social groups. So it's really something that you can utilize. Their website is full of information. You can call and ask them, like if you say, hey, I need help with this, they're really good about giving out information for different services. So think of it as kind of, when I say the ARC, they are truly going across all areas and they can connect you to so many resources. I want to hit on stable accounts real quick because I know that this is very important. We were talking earlier about the, community waiver and Tefra and Sooner Care, but several people asked me, so I thought I would mention this, that a stable account basically is Oklahoma's version of the ABLE account. So what is an ABLE account? It is the ability for your child, if they are on SSI, they have the ability to save money without impacting their eligibility for certain benefits. You've probably heard that you can't have more than $1,200 in your SSI account or in your bank account, or you will be disqualified for SSI. Those are all true. So what they did is Oklahoma, we just started doing this. We're really trying to get the word out. But what an ABLE is achieving a better life experience. That's what ABLE means. And so again, the stable is the version of ABLE for Oklahoma. And you can, if you just Google stable accounts, there's actually a lot of people doing presentations on these. So if you are wanting to attend and learn more a little bit about these stable accounts, please reach out to me and I can get you connected. But the reason why I wanted to mention that is I was always so worried about, you always hear all this, if my child has, if maybe a grandparent passes away and they leave too much money in an account, that's going to disqualify them from some benefits. And that does happen. That's why there's the stable, there's special needs trust, and there's all kind of things that you can use to protect your child's benefits. Oklahoma Systems of Care. If you have not heard of this, this is more of a behavior issues. Think of it, when I say systems of care, it's a wraparound. So this is something that you can, if you, again, research Oklahoma Systems of Care, it's in the resource book. But if you are wanting to get a team behind your child, for example, they might have a medical, they might have someone that is a counselor, they might have a psychiatrist. A lot of times I, as a support parent, will join a systems of care wraparound team. And think of it as just a group of people that are literally wrapping their arms around your family and trying to get you connected to the best care. Sooner Success is an absolute great resource. We work with them hand in hand. So Sooner Success, they do SIB shops. We also do SIB shops at Oklahoma Family Network. If you have siblings that in your family, so obviously your child with special needs has siblings, we have SIB shops. Feel free to reach out to me to get information. Right now they're meeting virtually until they do in person, but it is such a great way to get your siblings because, having a family member with a disability doesn't just affect the parents, it affects the siblings just as much. So we want to make sure that we don't forget those SIBs, and we just make this all about them. And we also bring in a lot of information to really get them to start talking about those feelings and the things that they're feeling. They do one-day conferences a lot called On the Road. They also do respite services. So Oklahoma Family Network, we don't actually do respite. What we do is we would get you connected to Sooner Success, and they do vouchers. So they don't necessarily they don't provide the care, but they will give you vouchers that you can use to find someone to take care of your child. It's a lot easier to ask someone to watch your child if you can pay them, right? That's what I always say. we talked about the special resolution center. There's also, I always like to make sure you know, there's the Oklahoma Office of Disability Concerns in Oklahoma City, and there's also the Oklahoma Disability Law Center. This is free legal services. This can be something that it's not only during your high school years, but if you feel that there's something in post-secondary or in employment or something with their SSI or benefits, they are absolutely such a great resource. So you can reach out to the Disability Law Center, absolutely free. And they can, if they can't help you, they'll connect you with someone that can. This is a slide that I just personally made of some of the things that I know that we're involved with. So this is a lot of times, some of this is post high school, but it could also be, you could be doing some of these things while you're in high school. Pathways is an adult learning center here in Tulsa, and my daughter attends there right now. And it is just a great resource. They have morning sessions like 8 to 1, or you can go 1 to 5, or all day. You can go 1 day a week, 5 days a week, just all different kinds. There's the Bridges program, which a lot of you are familiar about. They also, just want you to know, they have an amazing summer camp for kids with special needs. It's actually really affordable. You can choose 1 week to do this camp. You can do it 5 weeks or all summer. They do an activity every day. It is such a great resource. A New Leaf. I will tell you, if you don't know about New Leaf, I know that Ms. Roberts is really good about bringing in different groups, but I will tell you that a New Leaf is in the process of developing, I believe it's in Owasso, and they are going to they're breaking ground on making like an entire, think of it as like a mini resort, but they're going to have different living situations. Like people can have apartments, they can have a dorm style. They're going to have all kinds of stuff. So if you make sure and look that up with a New Leaf, it's going to be really exciting. They're raising the funds for that now. If you don't know about Top Soccer, that's something that they do over there at the Metro Soccer Club, and that's open for your kids now and as they are young adults. Of course, the Special Olympics, you can continue after high school. If you haven't heard of Oklahoma People First, Oklahoma People First is an advocacy group, and they are for young adults. There's lots of special needs dance classes. I know my daughter does one, and I just won't blank on the name, but there's several different studios that offer dance classes. My daughter's in a hip hop class, and it's been going great. So they're even as they graduate high school. Of course, Goodwill. If you haven't heard of the Penguin Project, I threw that out on there actually this evening because I just got an email about it, but it is a project that they do at Clark's Theater, and anyone is able to join. They start practices coming up here pretty soon, and they have a mentor. So if your child wants to be in a play or has that acting itch or something like that, they actually pair them with a mentor, and that mentor stands behind them during the production. This year, they're doing Beauty and the Beast. And so your child, they don't have to have a speaking part. They could just be in the chorus. Every level of disability. So don't feel like, oh, my child might not be able to do that because, they're not verbal. Nope, they will absolutely have a place for your child. So if you want more information about that, you can reach out. If you don't know about Oklahoma Best Buddies, they have a great Facebook page. They have a citizen program where you can write to pen pals. Of course, there's horseback riding therapy. There's ORU music classes. There's one right now that's going on that is for peers. It's for, I believe they started at age 18. And what they do is they meet twice a week and they do music and do peer groups. So something to look at. But they have groups for younger kids. They do groups in the summer. But again, it's ORU, it's music therapy is what they call it. You probably thought I would never be quiet, so I apologize for giving you this, but this is my passion. I feel like I've walked this path, and I want to help parents get all that information. That way you can get it and you have it in your fingertips. This is such a quick overview of some of the things that are available, but I will tell you that if you would like to get on our mailing list, if you go to oklahomafamilynetwork.org, I did put my email in here. I would absolutely love if you were listening to this presentation, whether you're listening to it right now or you are listening to it recorded, if everyone could email me your contact information, I will add you to my personal list. So we have a quarterly newsletter that goes out from Oklahoma Family Network. So just go to oklahomafamilynetwork.org. You'll click on subscribe. You'll get a quarterly newsletter. You can also go to our Facebook page. We have a Oklahoma Family Network Facebook page. We also have a Facebook page that's called the Northeast Oklahoma Region Facebook page. And I always liked, it's really hard to kind of look, but I always like to say that whenever you look at it, I'm putting this in the camera right now. All you have to do is it has this green banner. It says Children's Behavioral Health Network. And just make sure you join the Northeast Oklahoma region. I put stuff on that about upcoming information and trainings and all kinds of stuff on that. One of the things that we're getting ready to do is a calming water bottle. I'm sure Ms. Roberts would be happy she can pass that along, that information. But November 9th, we will be doing, and you just register on Eventbrite, and we do a calming water bottle over Zoom. So your child can join, and what you do is we make these water bottles. All you have to do is have a water bottle, and I get all the supplies to you. So I will mail those to you, or I can actually drop them off with Miss Roberts and she can send it home with the children. But all you have to do is we not only make this calming water bottle, but we talk about the ways they can use this. We also talk about some other behavior strategies that kids can use to really regroup and refocus. So that's an upcoming activity we have. We also have the Care Notebook training, November 30th, that I told you about. We also have a retreat that is a virtual caregiver retreat. We actually just got the Eventbrite up and running today, so I'll send that information to her as well. But this is a 2-day retreat. It's December 1st and December 2nd. We will even offer vouchers for childcare, but it's virtual this year. And it's going to talk about ways to really do a lot of mindfulness. Because I know I'm preaching to the choir, but self-care is so, so important. When you are raising a child with special needs, it's really hard to forget about ourselves, which is great that we're always putting our child first, which is fantastic. But we are no good to anybody if we're not taking care of ourselves. So we really, really push that self-care piece. So that would be an absolutely great retreat for you guys to attend. I'm going to end with one more thing that talking about mindfulness and self-care. Every Thursday at noon, we offer a program called Calm in the Chaos. And what that is says 30 minutes. It's from 12 to 12:30 every Thursday at noon. Kids can join it. You can join it from your office. It's not yoga necessarily, because that scares me because I am not flexible and can follow that very well. But it's stuff you can do from your desk. And it's stuff that it just teaches you deep breathing exercises. It talks about how to kind of get in the moment. Just take a breath, forget about what you're doing. And again, you just register for that, and we would love to have you join us on a Thursday. We have podcasts and a YouTube channel. So we have so many things on our YouTube channel. I'll send the link to our YouTube channel and our podcast. So that way, again, if you email me, I can get you all this information and I will continue to give it to you. But the podcast we have, it's called Save the Seat. And we interview families that have gone through different life experiences. There's one for childhood cancer. There's one for Down Syndrome Association. There's one for autism. And they really they don't last long. You can listen to them while you're driving you're sitting in the pickup line or you're waiting for your child's doctor's appointment. Some really good information. And on that YouTube, we have Helping the Anxious Child. We have all kinds of challenging behaviors. We have all kinds of resources that you can utilize. So I think that about sums it up. She said I had an hour, and by golly, I used every minute of it. So I hope that you guys have gotten something out of this presentation. I always hate when I can't interact, since I know this is being recorded, as far as being able to answer questions, but that's what I'm here for. My cell phone number is on the screen, 918-724-8574. A lot of times I know it's easier to text, so you can always text me. I'll be happy to get back with you. We don't work normal hours, so we're not an 8 to 5. I work from home. So you feel free. If I don't get right back to you, I promise I'll do it shortly. And I really appreciate you giving me your evening, and look forward to connecting with you. That's what we're all about, is putting those pieces together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Erin. That was wonderful. Wonderful.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. Sorry, I was going to stop sharing my screen.
I'm trying to get it to stop recording.